Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'll be reviewing for you Kirby Star Stacker for the Game Boy. You might be thinking, Paul, this game has been around since March of 2025. Why did it take you until now to review it? The simple answer is that I forgot that it existed. I guess it was one of those trailers where they lump a bunch of games together, and the other games in the trailer didn't excite me, so I must have figured, oh, another random Kirby Game Boy game probably stinks. Well, now that I've finished playing it, not only did it not stink, but after playing every single level in the game, including all 50 levels of insane difficulty, I can say this might be one of my new favorite puzzle games, besides Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright. So first off, the main premise is that you are making sandwiches. Not in the literal sense, but that is the main way in how you connect the different pieces. So the three main pieces are the three animal buddies from Kirby's Dream Land 2. And in order to make them disappear, you have to either connect them, either vertically or horizontally, them being adjacent to one another, or you have stars and other identical animal buddies in between them. And it doesn't have to be a very long combination. You could have one buddy, a star, and then another, but as long as there's some form of either sandwiching or connecting, everything in that row or column, or both, sometimes you can get really wild with those combinations, will disappear. Really, the only other type of playing pieces on the field are stars, which basically help to connect the various pieces to make longer chains, and bomb blocks, which don't actually fall, but if you create a chain with those bomb blocks, then the bomb will take out every piece in that same row. I'm surprised it doesn't take out every piece in the vertical column, but strange logic aside, it is a very helpful piece for chained together combos. Speaking of which, the more combos you chain together, the more stars you'll drop onto the field, and basically what these do is these can sometimes give you another free combination. But what they do in the main story is that they help you progress, because your objective is to hit the amount of stars that are displayed under the profile of King Dedede. Speaking of which, his special ability is that sometimes he pounds his fist, and that makes the playing field shrink a little bit, for lack of a better word. And if you run out of room, then you fail and you have to start all over again. Thankfully, the game is pretty generous with its restart system because it doesn't take too long to get past the game over screen, and this is a Game Boy game, so loading takes place within a second and a half. It hardly ever feels too deflating, and plus, if you're playing this on Switch Online, you can just use the rewind function. Although, full gamer disclaimer, ooh, that's a cool term, I should coin that. I only used rewind on insane difficulty, because it definitely lives up to its name. Now that we've gotten into that, let's talk about the various modes that this game has to offer. First off, you can just do an endless mode where you try to get as many combos as possible. The game doesn't make it clear how many it expects of you. If you don't get too many, it'll just say try harder. And then if you meet the game's criteria, you'll get a message saying, oh good, you did it. So I wish there was more clear guidance on this mode. There's a versus mode if you want to play with your friends. There's another time trial mode, which is slightly different, except this time you have a ticking timer. So you have to create as many combos as possible before the timer runs out. And then finally, there are the main challenges. There are 5 difficulty levels. There's easy, normal, hard, super hard, and then after you beat all of those, then you get the insane difficulty. You only have 8 levels in easy, then 16 in the others, and then insane has a whopping 50 challenges, and they get pretty close to the top of the screen too, so you really gotta know what you're doing. Thankfully, what I like about this game is that you have more time to plan out your next move than you do in, say, Tetris, because the game completely pauses for the combinations to disappear, and while you're waiting for the game to catch up to you, you can look at the coming up next piece and say, okay, now I can put this piece here because I've already taken the natural lag to plan out my move. It's a lot of fun to string together combos and to figure out the best places to put the pieces, and that ending screen when you finally beat insane mode it's not great, but it's a nice bragging right. Overall, this gets my highest recommendation. It's a simple premise, but it's a lot of fun. The music is surprisingly good most of the time, except when it's urging you to hurry up. That can be a bit grating. And it's a nice pick up and play type of game. You don't really have to have too much of a commitment to long play sessions because it's designed to be short. If you can get this on actual hardware, I would highly recommend playing either the Super Game Boy version or play it on a Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance, because I feel like the slight extra colors in that mode, whatever it's called, do help to distinguish the animal buddies from one another if shape recognition isn't really your thing. And if you have Switch Online, this is an absolute steal because it's for the Game Boy, so therefore you get it in the basic tier. Plus, with the rewind and save states, that can really help the harder stages to become a lot more doable. Although, you do have to have enough skill to get by, so don't think that rewind and save states are going to be able to completely end it all. So they're a nice assist, but they don't auto-complete the puzzles. There are some that I still failed, even when I did use rewind. Overall, this is one of the better Kirby games, even if it's not quite mainline, and I give it the highest of recommendations to anyone who likes puzzle games. Sure, it doesn't have a story mode, but that's about the only major gripe I have. Everything else is just nitpicks. So I hope that you will check it out, rent it if Game Boy games are still rentable, or just get it as a freebie for Switch Online. So with that, thank you very much for watching, my friends. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye!